gentlemen, join me as I welcome our Attorney General, the Attorney General of Trinidad and Tobago, who will not be in any court unless it is to fight a case against former Attorneys General. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Faris Al Rawi.
Ladies and gentlemen, our political leader and Prime Minister, Dr. Keith Rowley, welcome to San Fernando City Hall, sir. To the distinguished members sitting at the head table, my colleague, Major General, retired Edmund Dillon, Minister of National Security, the Minister of Planning, the Honorable Camille Robinson Regis, the Minister of Energy, Minister Franklin Khan, the boundless, energetic, fun-loving brother of mine, Stuart Young, Minister straddling 2 ministries most capably, when in fact it's really 3 right now, as he sits in public admin, Attorney General, Office of Prime Minister, and man everywhere. I recognize His Worship the Mayor, the first citizen of San Fernando. I recognize sitting in this audience Mr. Ken Ferguson, past Mayor of the City of San Fernando. I recognize my cabinet colleagues, the Minister of Housing, the Member for San Fernando East, Randall Mitchell, the ever hard-working, indomitable Kazim Hussein, Minister of Local Government. I recognize the Chairman of everything supposedly in the East, as he calls himself, the Minister of Health, Minister Terence Dial Singh, Senator Daniel Dookie, the Chairman of WASA, who has just joined us, Romney Thomas, and to all of you wonderful San Fernando ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Political 101, as we set in tonight to discuss some of our business. I'm here to facilitate a conversation tonight. After all, this is our home. This is San Fernando. Randall and I both share the seats next to each other. And so tonight we asked our distinguished Prime Minister and our colleagues to come and do some of the talking. It would be rude to be in your own home and dominate the stage. It is important for us to get to understand the agenda that we're working on. You've just seen us complete the budget. We have demonstrated in our budgeting that we are giving value for money accounting. In the value for money accounting, we are demonstrating what we thought we had, what we actually have, what we're working to have, where we hope to be. When we came into office, we left a budget of close to $63 billion. We have climbed our budget down to $52 billion. We have done that maintaining full employment in this country, debt limit up to our noses as the UNC borrowed every black cent available. They took our dividends and profits from the natural gas company to the tune of $16 billion. They raised our debt to GDP ratio, making borrowing more expensive. But more particularly, they made some decisions. For instance, they made a decision labeled as a good one. Come and invest in oil and gas, they told the big players. We'll give you a write-off. It encourages people to come and invest. But typical UNC style, they didn't bother to think it through. So they told the oil and gas companies, take a tax holiday. Don't pay taxes, write off your losses. But they didn't give them a cap. And what that means, very simply put, is they failed to put a cap on the amount of write-off that can go year to year, so our oil and gas money the corporation taxes earned from oil and gas dropped from $22 billion to $1.9 billion. $22 billion to $1.9 billion. Oil and gas revenue contributed to 33% of our earnings. It has dropped to 1.3% of our national earnings. With that money, we in San Fernando ask, how can we build houses? How can we fix homes? How do we clean our rivers? How do we collect garbage? How do we improve national security? But I want to say we've done well. And I'll tell you why I say that. We've done well. Today's scholarships were announced. Take a look and add up the scholarships in San Fernando alone, ladies and gentlemen, where we top the whole country collectively. Take a look at our success in a cooperation with the members of parliament for East and West working together to ensure that we didn't suffer the floods that suffered when Brett came the second time round. It's not by mistake. But I want to tell you, in looking at the value for money and inviting our guests tonight to talk to certain parts of what we're asking them to talk about, I'll just speak for a little bit on the role and function of the office that is the Office of the Attorney General. You notice in our government, we don't talk about my ministry and I. You notice we don't do that. The Office of the Attorney General has, for the first time in the history of its structure, a merger with Legal Affairs. Technically, we have 1,142 employees. But this office is a significantly large office. And in running this office, in running the 15 bodies under this office, because I'm not including the staff of the judiciary, the industrial court, the equal opportunities, the tribunals, we're not including any of that. But we have responsibility to do all of those projects. Quite simply put, constitutionally, we have to do the civil arrangements, all of the civil litigation. We have to coordinate with the criminal law department, which is the office of the DPP. We have to do all of the legislation for Trinidad and Tobago. We have to advise the cabinet of Trinidad and Tobago. We function in the role as prime leader in anti-terrorism, anti-money laundering. Basically, it's a 24-hour job. And the truth is, whilst we have had massive successes this year in opening the doors to a children and family court arrangement for the first of its kind, soon to come live in, God willing, the month of November, doing the criminal justice reform package that we did, improving the DPP's office as we have done, improving the prosecutorial function as we have done, adding criminal proceedings rules as we have done, ensuring that cases can move faster in the criminal justice system as we are doing in a way that has never happened before. There's a very important role that we function and perform inside of that, and it's anti-corruption. And those of you who are paying attention to the script that our opponents have, bear in mind the words that the Honorable Prime Minister used yesterday in his press conference. When asked about criticisms coming to the Office of the Attorney General, he said, that's nothing surprising. These are people who are mortally afraid of what is coming. And tonight, we are going to hear some of that. But I will allow that conversation to happen in the proper form and fashion. I just want to leave you with an absolute assurance, ladies and gentlemen. This government is very conscious that it has to perform. We know that the people of Trinidad and Tobago are tired of talk. Our Prime Minister says to us, it is not what you promise that will be on gauge and measure in 2020 when a next general election is due. It is what you have accomplished. Tonight we're going to hear from the Minister of National Security. I see a lot of my beloved brothers and sisters from Embarcadero here tonight, from Marabella here tonight. I've seen a couple from the Hatters area here tonight. I want to tell you, crime and security is a #1 purpose for us. And the Ministry of National Security is in very tight coordination with the Office of the Attorney General. The Minister of National Security has been side by side on our anti-terrorism work, on our border protection work, on bringing to life DNA for the first time since it came onto the books of this country from 1999 come forward, in putting simple things like toilets into prisons to deal with unconstitutional living conditions, in making sure our security services agency is performing. How many of you have noticed? An allegation of kidnapping and an arrest a day after. An allegation of a murder and an arrest 2 days after or 3 days after. A tip-off for a drug bust and 2 policemen caught in the act, allegedly. Haven't you noticed a little bit of a change? You think anybody wants to talk about that? Well, it didn't happen by mistake, ladies and gentlemen. And our Honorable Minister of National Security is going to talk to some of that. So I ask you to pay attention to our contributions from our colleagues tonight, our guests in San Fernando. The last time I had the pleasure of sitting on a stage with Stuart, it was before the general election, as we sat on a stage in a car park down by Gulfview. He brought blessings then, he continues to bring blessings now. The last time the Prime Minister spoke on a stage, it was right here. The last time the Minister of National Security spoke, it was in support of San Fernando right here. So let's pay attention. I want to assure you, in the months ahead on the legislative and anti-corruption and anti-criminality drive, you're going to see a combination of common sense, hard work, good legislation, and most definitely operational procedures. So let's make sure that our guests deliver what I know you want to hear tonight. And I ask you to give them warm San Fernando welcomes and to enjoy tonight's proceedings. Welcome to you all. Thank you very much.